Okay, I guess this is starting over again. I hit the wrong button, so I don't want to edit those two together. So I think I was talking anyway. Let me start over again. Uh, Today in the United States is the third Sunday in June, and it is Father's Day. You don't hear as much about Father's Day as you do Mother's Day. And anyway, I haven't heard anything really. Of course, I guess I'm probably not watching, I'm not watching television. Uh, I watch a lot of YouTube, channels, animals, and, little kids getting cats or dogs for their birthday or Christmas or something, that type of stuff. Um, but anyway, today is Father's Day. Um, see if I can remember what I said. I've got two cameras, as you know now, hooked up that are both working. I really don't like the position of this one. And the other one is over here, up on top of this monitor. Um, and actually, it's kind of funny. This, what is it? Razor? What is it? I can't remember. And it did have the best video. And I think it would if I ran, the program for it. But now, the Avery Media camera is much, much better. So I think you agree. This is the Avery Media, the one that runs hot all the time. I mean, all the time that I think that it's, making video. But I think you agree, or do you? And I think for some reason, I think I would be better just having one camera, because I think things go better if I keep them as simple as I can. Right now, my $200 Dell computer is working excellently, and I have these two monitors that are really good, and they're both hooked up, and so let me do that again. Right now, this is one. Of course, it depends on location and where the light is and that kind of stuff, but this is, I think it's a Razor, and they've really come down in price. I think the price now is about $100. I think they were $250 or something or other. And this is the Avery Media, and right now I think it's got to do because of the settings, because of the software. But let me know what you think. I may make the decision before I hear from you or whatever, but let me know what you think. I mean, and don't worry. I mean, I'll put this whichever camera I decide to keep set up, I'll put it up here or something where it won't be over to the side. This is not my best view over here. I need to shave. So, let's go over here. And go to CNN. Okay. People for the first time, I mean, and even Republicans, not all of them, but people that in the Republican Party that you know their names and their history and everything, and people are saying that former President Trump may be going to to prison, and it's just a short time ago. I mean, we're talking a short time. It's just a short time ago that just about everybody was saying that they didn't think that that Trump would be going to prison, but the evidence against him and the charges and things are so unbelievably bad for him, and his insanity. I mean, he's stupid, unbelievably stupid, and it just looks really bad for him. And a lot of even Republicans are saying, I mean, people in the Republican Party are saying that he may be looking at prison time. And so they're saying, at different levels, they're saying different things. Trump's call for, at the where he was arrested, in court because he was arrested, last week or something like that. He called for his supporters to show up and whatever, and there's very few people that showed up. I mean, very few supporters that showed up. It just looks like this is all into the at the hearing last week where he was arrested, had to go there because he was arrested, and then I think he was there for like 2 hours or something, and then everything, the information was read on here's the things you can do and can't do and that kind of stuff, and an awful lot of people, and even Republican people. I'm not talking about his cult, those people who are, they were shocked that there weren't restrictions put on him that are normally put on people in his situation. Of course, there's not many, I don't know, there's not many people in his situation, but there weren't any restrictions put on him, and it looks like that, prosecution and whatever, that maybe they are deliberately not putting those restrictions on him so that he will continue to say what, say what he's saying. And that, because every day he's giving the prosecution more material to use, against him. I mean, he needs to stop talking. But he needed to stop talking, a while back. Okay, I got a door open. Let me stop here for a second and close the door.
I learned all my English from MTV.
Okay, I'm back. Probably time for another interruption or whatever. I think I'm not going to wait for you all to vote. I think I'm going to remove this camera and just use this camera. I think you'll probably agree. I just want to keep it kind of simple. Let's see. Well, I think I've been interrupted twice on this thing. We're expecting a food delivery. Let's see, it's almost 8 a.m. I think we're getting a small food delivery at 9 a.m. It's towards the end of the month. We run out of money towards the end of the month, so it's a small order. See, what else is going on? I started talking a little bit about, not so much about politics, but yeah, I mean, for the first time, there are some people who are saying that Donald Trump may be looking at prison time. And just a short time ago, I'm talking about maybe weeks or whatever, there were, Democrats and Republicans saying, of course his people, were saying, I mean his cult followers or whatever. But I'm talking about, regular people, even Republicans who are, in the establishment and who want the Republicans to win, the election and everything, are saying that, even they're saying that maybe Trump will. I don't know. I mean, he's committed major crimes, and then he's majorly stupid, but you can't put somebody in jail for being stupid, or I'd be in jail. So, it's interesting, but this is very harmful to the United States, and we've got, a group of people who are a cult, he has a cult following, and they they believe anything, and that's dangerous. So yeah, the Republicans just should not have, they should never have elected someone like him. I blame the Republican Party, the establishment, not the rank and file, Republicans out there, but I'm blaming the people in the party, the organization, and And like I mentioned before, I won't go into that again, but I actually, back in the 1970s, I worked for somebody who had the same condition that Donald Trump has. And except this guy was smart. But then he had that thing of telling everybody how great he was. And always thinking that he was right. And then he also had the thing, which I didn't realize. Well, I knew he lied about stuff. When I did my grievances against him, and I won all my grievances against him, he would just say things like, like once the fact the first one was when the director of security he went to the security office. He had an office. The lieutenant secretary had an office, and then the security officers, we had an office. And the director of security came and he put a thing on the bulletin board in red, that he wrote. And it said that if you miss a day's work, you have to have a doctor's excuse. And then I said, Mr. Ross, you can't do that. I can do anything I want, And I said, no, there's hospital policy that has to be, followed. We're security officers, we're in uniforms, we're armed, and all that type of stuff. But the hospital, policy, human resources policy, they apply to us too. And he yelled and screamed and said, and I never missed work. And I found out later, quite a bit later, months later, maybe a year later, maybe a couple of years later, I went down to the Human Resources Department and said, I'd like to exercise my right to look at my, what the record that you have on me, my file here in the Human Resources. And the director of Human Resources was a really nice guy. And he said, well, Jim, now somebody has to be with you. And I said, that's fine, I don't have a problem with that. And I looked it up, and there wasn't anything in there negative about me. I thought there might be something that he had, the director of security, but the human resources people made sure only things went into your file that needed that. And I saw that each one of the grievances that I had done, the director of human resources, backed me up, and went against the boss. But anyway, what I found out is, I just never missed work. And when the director of security, when I told him, no, you can't, can't do it, he went immediately down to human resources and said that, I'm not sure if he said he wanted me fired or if he, but anyway, he went down and he said, that, because I said, I'll do a grievance, And he went down there and he said, and Jim Howard he's a big offender or whatever, and the human resources guy pulled up by the way, the human resources guy, really nice guy, he had been a railroad engineer, not an engineer building railroads, but toot, on the train. And to him, new employees that would come in when he would talk to them or whatever, being on time to work and not missing work to him was a big, he'd say, when I was an engineer at the railroad, I'd leave, I don't know what he said, 2 hours, I'd leave 2 hours early to go through the blizzard, and that was a big thing with him. And anyway, and the thing that he wrote on my first grievance, that thing over the thing, he put that, that the director of security came down and said that Jim Howard was a big offender, and Jim's, attendance and everything is outstanding, so. And so that was a characteristic, years later, So I worked for, and I didn't know, I couldn't figure out why this director of security was, I kind of liked him. He was racist, and so we went we went head to head over that. And there was other things. but there was certain things that I couldn't understand, and then I see, that, former President Trump has those things. Well, there was books that came out, and people interviewed on television, about him and talking about that. And then I realized, wow, this guy who was smart, the director of security, he has had the same thing. And then too, I saw other things after all these years. It just, because I couldn't understand why this guy, I knew he was smart, the director of security, but why he said the dumb things that he said. And then I found out that he, and then I also noticed, which I never did, and I wouldn't do that to somebody, I never, away with that director of security, there's times that somebody went to him and said, oh, Mr. Ross, what would they say? Oh, I know you can't do this for us, or you can't do this for me. I know you don't have the authority to do it. And then bang, they had figured out that he'd say, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. And then he would do something that he shouldn't, something that he shouldn't do. And that's the same thing that, and these things matched up. And so after all these years, I'm talking the 1970s, I finally figured out, oh, wow. And one, I never went to him and did anything like that. But then also, there's times that somebody came up and I said, this has to be taken care of, or else. And he would say, oh, it's taken care of, or I would have quit right on the spot. If they hadn't, fired somebody that needed to be fired or done something, whatever the thing was. And then I just realized, with Trump, wow, he lied to me. He told, this other employee, oh yeah, you're right, yeah, security can't do that. Security can't do that, so don't worry about it. And then like this one day when I came in, when I wrote up this guy, the employee and everything, when I came in, when I was driving into work, when I get there, he better have, told this guy that security can go into the plant operations department at any time, and that we can go any place in the hospital that we, whatever. And when I went in, I went immediately to the director. I timed in, went immediately to the director of security, and said, "Did you talk?" "Oh yeah, I talked to him. I told him, that security we could, whatever." And now I realize, because this guy later on said, "And by the way, your boss told you that you can't go into, the plant operations or whatever." And I thought, no, he told you that we could. And now I realize that's part of the, Trump has part of, but to have what Trump has and then not be smart. Wow. So, anyway, thanks for watching, and I'm going to disconnect this other camera. I think that's the best thing. So thank you very much. Please, I don't know, give a thumbs up, do something. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll talk about that later on. Thanks very much for watching.